Okay, so really quickly I'm going to show you how to make these Halloween crackers. They're real simple. All you're going to need is a roll of toilet paper or a empty roll of toilet paper. You need the empty roll, and you're going to need some tissue paper. And I purchased my tissue paper at Party City. They had a pack that had, I think it was 20 different colors in it, and that's where I got the orange and the green, and then the black was included in that also. And the first thing you're going to do is cut your tissue paper to 11 inches by 11 inches. And you're going to take your toilet paper roll, and you want to, hopefully you can see, I'm going to use my mat here. We want to center the toilet paper roll is 4 inches. So that leaves us 7 inches. So we're going to have 3.5 inches on each side of the roll. I want to get the roll centered on the tissue paper. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3.5, 3.5. Okay, so I'm centered, and then I'm just going to put a little bit of glue right along the edge of the tissue paper where the toilet paper roll is going to sit, and I'm going to roll the toilet paper roll right on top of that, and I'm going to wait a couple seconds, and that's attached. And then I'm just going to roll very carefully, because you want it to be even on both sides. You're going to roll your tissue paper all the way up. Then take another bead of glue, run it right along under the edge of the end of the tissue paper, and that seals your roll into the tissue paper. Then the next thing that you're going to do is take some twine or some ribbon or something, and you're going to need to tie one of the ends. And I'm going to use some black and white twine, and I'm just going to cut a piece off, and I'm going to tie one end, and I'm going to be careful with where my seam is. I want the seam to be on the back, so I'm going to put the seam on the bottom, and I'm going to tie it around on the top, and then I'm just going to very gently pull, because I don't want to rip my tissue paper, but I do want it to have a tight, I want it to seal the end of the toilet paper roll. And then I'm just going to tie a bow. Just like that. Really simple, and I like to knot the ends, so I'm going to do that really quick. So now that my cracker is sealed on the end, I'm going to put in some candies, and I'm going to put in a couple of kisses, and you can put anything in it that will fit, but since they're for Halloween, I thought it would be fun to put some candy in it. A couple of peppermint patties, some Bazooka bubble gum, and then I'm going to also put some candy corn and candy corn pumpkins in. that. And then I'm going to seal it shut the same way I did this side. Take another piece of twine. Make sure all your candy gets in there. Find my seam. I want that to be on the bottom. I want my bow to be on top. And again, just very gently pull on your twine, because you don't want to rip your tissue paper, but you do want it to have a tight seal all the way around. And then tie your bow. Okay, so we're almost halfway there. We're basically halfway there. The next thing that you're going to do is decorate the front of it. And this piece of paper measures 3 3/4 wide by 6 1/2 in length. And that's going to go along the edge here. And I'm going to use a decorative edge punch along the edge. Okay, so now I have this punched along the edge of each side in the scallop. I used the Friscar scallop punch. And I'm not going to ink this because this paper is pretty dark. But the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up the best I can on here evenly. And this from here to here, I want to have the same amount on each side. And I'm going to wrap the paper around. Make sure that it lines up. And then I'm going to take my glue again. And I'm going to put glue, I'm going to put glue right along this edge right here, so you can see. I don't want to glue the paper to the tissue paper because I want to be able to slide it in case I get it on there and it's not centered correctly. So I'm just going to glue it to itself and not to the tissue paper. So it should look like that. And that's pretty, oops, see how you can slide it and get it centered? So let's see. Okay, that looks pretty centered. And then the last thing that I'm going to do, oh, I actually have 2 more things to do. I'm going to put the sentiment on it. And I used, for this one, I cut out the Fancy Frame stamp and die set from my Creative Time. I used the die and the stamp that comes with it for the edging or the border. And then I'm going to use the sentiment that says Happy Halloween from my Creative Time Treats for My Sweet set. It says Happy Halloween. I'm going to use this stamp. I haven't used this particular stamp yet, so I'm going to ink it up really good and make sure I get enough ink on there. So I've stamped my sentiment on my little tag, and that's going to be placed on here, and I'm going to put a little bit of foam core tape on the back of that just to give it a little dimension. Okay, so I've placed foam tape on the back of my sentiment tag, and I'm just going to place it on my cracker, make sure that the seam is at the back. Actually, I want to turn this around where my bows are. Seam is at the back, and I'm going to center this on here the best that I can. Try to get it on there as straight as I can, and I'm just going to apply it like that. So now my sentiment's on, and the very last thing that you can do, you can leave it just like this, or, and I think I'm going to leave this one just like this, or you can take and cut strips out of your ends and have it be a little bit of fringe on each end. If you have any questions, leave me a comment on this video, or you can go to my blog and leave me a comment there. And thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.